Have you ever tried to explain something simple to someone who simply could not grasp it? Not because the idea was complex, not because the words were unclear, but because something in their mind refused to let the information land. The person you are arguing with isn't missing your point, they are incapable of reaching it. Every time you try to correct a fool, you are trying to describe color to a person born blind. It is a waste of your elite energy and a compromise of your sovereignty. Schopenhauer understood that the highest state of existence is not found in educating the herd, but in detaching from their frequency entirely. He didn't write for the millions, he wrote for the outliers, who feel strangled by the noise of the delusional. Think about the most confidently wrong person you have ever met. The one who argued about politics without reading history. The one who diagnosed your problems without knowing your life. The one who explained your field to you, the expert, as if you had merely stumbled into knowledge they were born possessing. Were they lying? Were they performing? No. They were genuinely convinced of their own correctness. Not because the evidence supported them, because their mind had built a prison where the walls looked like the horizon. They believed they were seeing everything because they could not see the walls. This is not a character flaw, it is a design flaw in human cognition. And Schopenhauer understood it better than anyone before or since. He did not write about how people should think, he wrote about how they actually think, and what he observed was this: intelligence and self-awareness are not the same thing. In fact, they often move in opposite directions. The person who knows little often believes they know everything. The person who knows much is the only one who understands how little that actually is. You have felt this from the inside. Think about something you used to be certain about, a belief, a skill, a worldview that you have since abandoned. Do you remember the confidence you felt back then, the certainty that you had it figured out? That confidence was not evidence of understanding. It was evidence of not yet knowing enough to see what you were missing. Schopenhauer wrote, "Intellect is a mere intensity of the will." He meant that your mind is not a neutral instrument seeking truth. It is a servant to your desires. And the deepest desire of the ego is to believe it has already arrived. The stupid person does not think they are intelligent because they have miscalculated. They think they are intelligent because their will to be right overpowers their ability to see they might be wrong. And you have been in that room. You have been that person. Maybe not about everything. Maybe not as visibly, but somewhere in your life right now, there is something you are certain about that is wrong, and you cannot see it. That is the nature of the blind spot. It is invisible by design. This video is not about laughing at stupid people. It is about understanding the architecture of certainty. It is about seeing why the most confident voices in any room are often the ones with the least to offer. And it is about turning that understanding into a weapon, not against others, but against the blind spots in your own mind. Because Schopenhauer's final truth is this: the only way to escape the prison of your own limits is to first admit the prison exists. Most people will not do that. They will watch this, nod at the examples about other people, and miss the mirror entirely. But if you feel something shift, if you suspect, even for a moment, that there might be something you are not seeing, then you are already ahead of them. And what comes next will show you exactly where to look. Let us begin. You are currently exhausting yourself by trying to reason with people who do not possess the equipment to hear you. You think you are having a debate. Schopenhauer would see that you are shouting into an empty canyon. The most disturbing truth about human intelligence is not that some people have less of it, it is that those who lack it are neurologically shielded from realizing it. To recognize a mistake, you must first understand the rule. To feel the sting of ignorance, you must first have a map of what you don't know. But the people who frustrate you daily, the ones who speak with a loud, unearned confidence, possess a mind that is a perfect circle with no gaps. They don't see the holes in their logic, because for them, the holes don't exist. They are trapped in a mirror of the void, where every thought they have is reflected back as a masterpiece. Think about the last time you sat in a meeting or a family dinner and watched someone dominate the room with an opinion that was factually, demonstrably wrong. You felt that rising heat in your chest. You felt the desperate, almost holy urge to correct them. You thought, if I just show them the data, if I just explain it simply enough, they will see the light. And what happened? They didn't thank you for the clarity. They didn't pause to reflect. They doubled down. They became aggressive. They treated your facts as a personal insult. In that moment, you weren't dealing with a lack of information, you were dealing with a survival mechanism. For the incompetent, their intelligence is a hallucination. They must protect at all costs, because without it, they have nothing. Schopenhauer understood that the ego of a fool is a fortress with no doors. He observed that the lower the intellect, the higher the pride. This isn't a coincidence, it is a necessity. If you are small, you must puff yourself up to survive. If you are hollow, you must make the most noise to prove you are solid. You believe that intelligence is about knowing things. Schopenhauer knew that intelligence is actually the ability to perceive your own limitations. A man of high intellect is like a giant in a room with a low ceiling. He is always aware of the boundaries. He moves with caution. He speaks with nuance because he knows how complex the truth really is. But the fool is a dwarf in a cathedral. He looks up, sees infinite space, and assumes he is the center of the universe. You are currently paying an intellectual tax every time you engage with these people. You are spending your elite mental energy trying to upgrade a software that the hardware cannot support. It is like trying to run a modern operating system on a machine built 40 years ago. The system doesn't just run slow, it crashes. Every time you argue with a delusional person, you are the one failing. You are the one who is being irrational, because you are expecting a result that is biologically impossible. You are treating a person born blind as if they are simply refusing to look at the sun. Machiavelli would tell you that this is a strategic disaster. You are exposing your best ideas to people who will only use them to find new ways to be wrong. The mirror of the void means that for the stupid, thinking is not a process of discovery, it is a process of confirmation. They do not look for the truth, they look for the echoes of what they already believe. When you provide a counter-argument, they don't hear a new perspective, they hear static, they hear a threat to their reality. This is why your logic never lands. This is why your evidence never sticks. You are trying to build a bridge to a shore that doesn't exist. You must give up the savior complex that tells you everyone can be enlightened. Some people are meant to stay in the dark, not because they are evil, but because their eyes cannot handle the light. Once you accept this, the frustration vanishes and is replaced by a cold, clinical observation. You stop being the victim of their stupidity and start being the architect of your own silence. You are currently being suffocated by the weight of a crowd that is moving in the wrong direction. Schopenhauer observed that every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. But when thousands of those men stand together, their collective blindness is suddenly rebranded as common sense. You have felt this pressure in every room where you were the only one who saw the iceberg ahead. You spoke up, you pointed to the data, and you were met with the blank, empty stares of the herd. They didn't counter your logic, they simply outvoted you with their confidence. This is the collective stupidity that Machiavelli warned about. A world where the loudest voice is mistaken for the truest one, simply because the masses are too lazy to think for themselves. Think about the groupthink you encounter in your career or your social circle. You see a project that is destined for failure, or a trend that is nothing more than a hollow fad. But because everyone around you is nodding in agreement, you begin to doubt your own eyes. You think, maybe I'm the one who's missing something. How can they all be wrong? Schopenhauer would tell you that they aren't just wrong, they are incapable of being right. The majority does not exist to find the truth. It exists to provide comfort and safety for the incompetent. By joining the crowd, they don't have to face the terrifying reality of their own ignorance. They find strength in numbers, and they use that numbers to silence anyone who dares to be more intelligent than the baseline. You are currently paying an intelligence tax. You are suppressing your insights, softening your language, and slowing your pace just so you don't offend the fragile egos of the majority. Every time you dumb it down to be understood, you are performing a slow-motion suicide of your own potential. You are allowing the lowest common denominator to set the speed of your life. Machiavelli knew that a prince who follows the crowd will eventually be led off a cliff by them. You think you are being collaborative or diplomatic, but you are actually just becoming a passenger on a sinking ship. The herd doesn't want your brilliance, they want your compliance. They want you to validate their delusions so they can continue to feel like they are winning. The most dangerous lie you've been told is that truth is democratic. It isn't. Truth is aristocratic. It belongs to the few who are willing to look past the noise and the social pressure. While the incompetent are busy high-fiving each other for agreeing on a lie, you must have the cold, hard discipline to stand in your own reality. Schopenhauer noted that on this earth, there is nothing more common than stupidity, and nothing more rare than a mind that thinks for itself. If you find yourself in total agreement with the people around you, you should be terrified. It means you have stopped observing and started conforming. You have traded your surgical precision for a blunt instrument. You must stop seeking consensus. Consensus is the graveyard of greatness. It is the place where original ideas go to be watered down until they are unrecognizable. When the fools in your life tell you that everyone says, or this is how it's always been done, recognize it as the sound of the cage door closing. They are trying to recruit you into their hallucination because your independence makes them look small. They need you to be just as blind as they are, so they don't have to feel the sting of their own incompetence. Your job is not to convince the crowd. Your job is to outlast them. You must become comfortable being the eccentric, the outsider, or the difficult one. Because in the kingdom of the blind, the man who can see is always treated as a madman. If you have realized that your teamwork has actually been a slow-motion surrender to people who don't know what they're doing, drop this in the comments. I am not part of the herd. You are being drained by a ghost. You spend your days interacting with people who possess a level of confidence that is entirely unearned, yet you are the one who walks away feeling depleted. Schopenhauer recognized that the fool's greatest weapon is not his intellect, but his lack of shame. Because he cannot perceive his own limitations, he moves through the world with a reckless, parasitic boldness. He doesn't ask for your time, he demands it. He doesn't suggest his ideas, he imposes them. He is a psychological parasite that feeds on your politeness and your willingness to listen. You think you are being open-minded by entertaining his nonsense. Machiavelli would tell you that you are simply leaving your gates open for a looter. Think about the unqualified expert who dominates every conversation you're in. They speak with absolute authority on subjects they haven't spent 5 minutes studying. They cut you off, they talk over you, and they dismiss your expertise with a wave of their hand. Your instinct is to stay silent to avoid a scene, or to patiently wait for them to finish so you can gently correct them. In that moment, the parasite has won. They have successfully colonized your space. They have used your high-level emotional intelligence against you. They know that a person of your caliber values harmony, so they weaponize their own loudness to ensure you never speak. You aren't being the bigger person. You are being a host for their delusion. The most dangerous part of this dynamic is that the fool's confidence is contagious to the weak-minded. People around you will start to believe the parasite simply because he hasn't stopped talking. Schopenhauer observed that for the masses, the appearance of certainty is more convincing than the presence of truth. While you are careful to use words like perhaps, the data suggests, or it depends, the fool uses words like obviously, definitely, and always. Your nuance is mistaken for hesitation, his ignorance is mistaken for leadership. You are allowing a person with a shallow mind to set the agenda for your life because you are too civilized to call out the void when you see it. You must realize that the fool does not want to learn, he wants to be heard. He doesn't want your advice, he wants your submission. Every time you try to mentor or help a person who is aggressively stupid, you are pouring high-octane fuel into a car with no engine. It is a total loss of your resources. Schopenhauer warned that trying to illuminate a fool is like trying to light a fire in a vacuum. There is no oxygen for the truth to burn. You are wasting your breath on a person who is biologically incapable of gratitude because they truly believe they already know everything you're telling them. They will take your insights, repackage them poorly, and then present them back to you as if they invented them. Stop being the supporter of people who don't have the hardware to support themselves. You are not a charity for the intellectually bankrupt. You must develop a cold Machiavellian intolerance for confidence without competence. When a fool begins to dominate your space, do not politely listen. Cut the connection. Withdraw your energy. The moment they realize you are no longer a source of validation, they will move on to find a more willing host. Your silence is not a sign of agreement. It is a surgical wall. Protect your mental clarity with the same ferocity that a king protects his borders. If you continue to allow parasites to feast on your focus, you will eventually find yourself just as hollow as they are. Every time you engage in an argument with a fool, you are publicly announcing your own lack of discipline. You think you are defending the truth. You think you are standing up for logic. But in reality, you are just performing a slow-motion surrender. Schopenhauer observed that a person's intelligence is a fixed quantity. You can provide a fool with information, but you cannot provide him with the capacity to understand it. When you attempt to reason with someone who lacks the hardware for reason, you aren't being an educator, you are being a victim. You are allowing a low-value individual to drag you down into a linguistic swamp where facts are irrelevant and volume is the only currency. Machiavelli would look at your debates and see a man who is voluntarily handing his dignity to the mob. Think about the last time you got into a heated disagreement online or in person. You had the evidence, you had the logic, you had the truth, and yet the more you explained, the more the other person doubled down on their delusion. You felt that rising heat in your chest, the desperate, almost physical need to make them see it. In that moment, you weren't the master, you were the puppet. They pulled the string of your ego, and you danced for them. They triggered your need for justice, and you wasted your elite energy trying to fix a mind that was broken before you even arrived. You are treating a neurological dead end as if it were a detour. It's not, it's a wall. Stop trying to walk through it. Schopenhauer understood that the will in a stupid person is far stronger than their intellect. They don't want to be right, they want to win, and for them, winning means making you lose your composure. When you raise your voice, when you get frustrated, or when you spend 3 hours drafting the perfect response, they have won. They have successfully forced a superior mind to focus on their mediocrity. They have achieved a level of parity with you that they could never reach through merit. You are giving them a seat at a table they haven't earned. You are validating their existence by acknowledging their noise. Machiavelli knew that the most devastating move you can make against a fool is to treat them as if they don't exist. Silence is not just a lack of sound, it is an assertion of superiority. Consider the correction trap. You see someone spreading misinformation or making a blatant logical error, and you feel a moral obligation to fix it. You believe that the truth matters, but the truth does not matter to a person who uses language only as a tool for status. To the fool, an argument is not a search for reality, it is a territorial dispute. When you correct them, they don't see an opportunity to learn, they see a threat to their dominance. They will pivot, they will lie, they will use ad hominem attacks, and they will exhaust you until you give up just to make the noise stop. In the end, they remain just as stupid as they were, but you are now 3 hours shorter on life and 10 times higher on cortisol. You didn't save the truth. You just sacrificed your peace to a black hole. You must develop the cold, clinical detachment of a surgeon. When you encounter a delusional mind, do not engage, do not agree to disagree, do not offer a different perspective. Simply observe the phenomenon and move on. You do not argue with a broken machine. You either bypass it or you replace it. Schopenhauer warned that if you try to speak to a fool in the language of intellect, they will interpret it as an insult, because they cannot understand the words but they can sense your superiority. This creates a cycle of resentment and aggression that serves no one. Your mission is too critical to be derailed by the friction of low-level minds. From this moment on, your words are a premium resource. Stop spending them on people who are intellectually bankrupt. If you have finally realized that your debates have been nothing more than a slow-motion leak of your own power, drop this in the comments. I do not speak to the blind. You are currently living in a state of intellectual overcrowding. You have allowed the opinions, the voices, and the loud, unearned confidence of the masses to take up residence in your head. You think that being connected and informed is a sign of intelligence. Schopenhauer would see it as a sign of infection. He understood that a man of high caliber is naturally solitary, not because he hates people, but because there are so few people whose minds are worth visiting. He noted that while the incompetent seek out the crowd to hide their own emptiness, the superior man seeks out silence to preserve his own fullness. You are terrified of being alone because you've been programmed to believe that loneliness is a failure. In reality, intellectual solitude is the only fortress where the delusional cannot reach you. Think about the noise you consume every single day. You scroll through feeds filled with people who have no expertise, yet feel entitled to judge your life. You listen to colleagues who can't manage their own households tell you how to run a business. You are marinating your brain in the liquid mediocrity of others. This constant exposure to collective stupidity acts like a slow-acting poison. It dulls your edges, it softens your resolve, and it makes you begin to use the same lazy language that they do. You are becoming a copy of a copy. Machiavelli knew that a leader who stays too close to the court eventually begins to think like the court. If you want to see the truth, you must be willing to stand where no one else is standing. The incompetent fear solitude, because when they are alone, they are forced to confront the void inside themselves. They need the noise, the drama, and the constant validation of other fools to convince themselves they exist. But you? Your mind is a premium territory. Every person you allow into your inner circle should be a strategic asset, not an emotional anchor. Schopenhauer observed that a man of great intellect is like a brilliant painting in a dark room. It is only when he is separated from the trash of the world that his light becomes visible. You have been trying to fit your masterpiece into a bargain bin frame. You have been trying to make your depth compatible with their shallowness. Stop it. You must develop a selective exclusion policy for your life. This is not about being antisocial, it is about being pro-sovereignty. When you stop attending the meetings that could have been emails, when you stop engaging in the small talk that leads to small thoughts, and when you stop caring about the trends of the month, you reclaim massive amounts of mental bandwidth. You gain the unfair advantage of clarity. While the fools are busy shouting at each other in the street, you are in your study, sharpening your strategy. Machiavelli understood that power is built in the dark and executed in the light. If you are always in the light of the masses, you are never building anything of substance. Consider the equality trap. You've been told that every opinion has value and that you should listen to both sides. Schopenhauer would laugh at that weakness. If one side is based on rigorous analysis and the other is based on the emotional spasms of a delusional ego, there are not two sides. There is the truth and there is noise. By giving the noise equal time, you are insulting the truth. You must be willing to be called arrogant, elitist, or cold. These are the names that the incompetent give to anyone they cannot manipulate. These names are your badges of honor. They mean you have successfully closed the door. They mean you are no longer a participant in their game. You must become the architect of your own intellectual environment. Curate your inputs with the same ruthlessness that a general curates his intelligence reports. If it is not high value, if it is not provably true, and if it does not move the needle of your mission, it is trash. Throw it away. You are not a wastebasket for other people's half-baked ideas. Once you embrace the aristocracy of the mind, you will realize that you don't need the crowd's approval to be right. You only need the cold, hard results of your own execution. The silence you are so afraid of is actually the sound of your own power returning to you. The ultimate handle the incompetent have on you is not their loudness, but your own pride. You think that by proving them wrong, you are winning. You think that by making them acknowledge your intelligence, you are asserting your dominance. Schopenhauer saw this for exactly what it is, a trap of the will. When you feel that desperate, burning need to correct a fool, it is not because you love the truth, it is because your ego is wounded by their refusal to see you. You are allowing a person who lacks the hardware for basic logic to dictate your emotional state. You are essentially saying, my peace of mind depends on a delusional person agreeing with me. Machiavelli would find this degree of external dependency pathetic. He understood that the truly sovereign man does not seek to be seen by the blind, he simply moves through the shadows they cannot perceive. Think about the high ground you think you're holding when you stay in an argument. You believe you are the teacher, but you are actually the student. You are being schooled in how to waste your life. The fool isn't learning from you, but you are learning how to be reactive, how to be defensive, and how to be small. Every time you try to save the intellectual reputation of someone who is aggressively stupid, you are performing a self-betrayal. You are telling your subconscious that your time and energy are worth less than the validation of a person who doesn't even know what year it is. You must give up the need to be the smartest person in the room. If you are in a room where you have to prove your intelligence, you are in the wrong room. The final stage of Machiavellian detachment is the death of the need to be right. In the arena of power, being right is a luxury for the weak. Being effective is the only metric for the strong. Schopenhauer noted that the masses live in a perpetual state of subjective dreaming. They do not want the truth. They want the dream to remain undisturbed. When you try to wake them up, they will hate you for it. Why would you want the approval of a person whose entire existence is a hallucination? Your ego is the leash they use to pull you back into the mud. Cut it, break the handle. When a fool speaks, let them speak. When they fail, let them fail. Your silence is not a sign that they have won, it is a sign that they are no longer significant enough to warrant a response. You have been told that intelligence is a bridge. Schopenhauer knew it was a wall. You have been trying to cross a gap that is biologically impossible to bridge. The frustration you feel is the sound of your own intelligence screaming at you to stop. Stop explaining, stop arguing, stop hoping for the aha moment from people who don't even have the vocabulary for it. The only way to win against collective stupidity is to refuse to be part of the collection. You must become a ghost in their system, unpredictable, unprovocable, and entirely detached from their social gravity. This is the end of your frustration. This is the moment you stop being a victim of other people's limitations and start being the architect of your own focus. You have the tools, you have the insight, and you now have the permission to be ruthless with your attention. The world will call you cold, they will call you arrogant, they will call you difficult. Let them. These are the sounds of the gates locking behind you. You are now in a space where only the elite can breathe. If you recognize that this path is the only way to protect your momentum and your sanity, then align yourself with this mission. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. This is not a favor you are doing for me, it is a signal you are sending to yourself. It is a confirmation that you are choosing the frequency of the sovereign over the noise of the herd. By staying connected here, you ensure that you remain alert in a world designed to keep you distracted and reactive. For those who have moved beyond the basics, those who want the clinical, unweighted strategies for high-level dominance, the inner circle is open. The membership is where we strip away the metaphors and focus on the raw mechanics of psychological control and strategic leverage. It is the filter that separates the observers from the operators. If you are ready to stop watching the world succumb to stupidity and start building your own empire in spite of it, join the circle. Not joining is a choice to stay in the noise with everyone else. Joining is a choice to finally move forward with those who speak your language. I want to thank you for staying until the very end. Most people do not have the discipline to follow an argument this deep or this demanding. The fact that you are still here proves that you are not part of the masses we've been discussing. You have earned these truths through your attention. The world will not become more intelligent tomorrow. The fools will still be loud, and the delusional will still be confident, but they no longer have a handle on you. Use this clarity tonight. I will see you in the next video.